Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. This is a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. I do apologize for the lateness of this video. I wasn't feeling well for a while there, and I couldn't concentrate, so I was able to work on it now, and here we go. So this is Ben's album challenge. This is a show that comes out on Sunday nights, usually at 8, but we'll probably be closer to 9 today, in which he picks an album from a musician that I listen to, and then I kind of give my review of it and pick my favorite song on the album at the same time. So the album he gave me today is from Steve Hillage, and the album is entitled Fish Rising. For those of you who don't know who Steve Hillage is, he was part of this group at one point. He may actually be part of it again. I'm not sure. I know I heard some rumblings recently. I don't pay attention too much. But anyways, he did play along with this band. This album that we're doing today, The Fish Rising, came out in 1975 though. 7 tracks on it. It's typical of what you might find on Gong as well. It's very psychedelic, very spacey in its composition. There are 3 very long tracks, and then a couple of medium tracks, and a couple of really short tracks on it. 7 tracks in total. A lot of really good, solid, great guitar playing on here. A lot of interesting noises. Always a lot of interesting noises with these guys. Some fantastic musicianship on the entire album. The drummer's really good. The bass player is dominant at certain points. Lots of synthesizers and keyboards. This album kind of reminds me of something that Ozric's Tentacles would put out as well. So it's within that same kind of sound. This one's a little more instrumentally. I think they're a little bit better instrumental than they are in Ozric Tentacles. Not that they're bad, I just think these guys are exceptional. So the first track on the disc is Solar Music Suite. Some really strong keyboard parts on this particular track. Very spacey, very strong soloing on here as well. There is some heavy riffing at points in the song. It's not dominating, but there is some heavy riffing in this particular track. And very progressive as well, like, as most of this kind of stuff is progressive, but more psychedelic, I think, than progressive. I'm really tired again. Yeah, I know you've heard this before. Okay, the second track is called Fish Odd Spacey. Psychedelic, it's called Fish. Very odd and spacey, a lot of psychedelic sounds here and noises, and the guitar is very different. Like, I can't even describe what it's like. It's really different than anything I've heard, but it's real good. It's not bad. It's a pretty short song, 2 minutes or so. I can't remember exactly. Next song's only about 3 minutes. Meditation of the Snake. Really good keyboard synthesizer opening, and is a very psychedelic, spacey song as well. I like this track quite a bit as well. Then we get into probably what would have been considered the back half of the album. Salmon Song. Some very just fantastic spacey guitar soloing and riffing on this song. Really good stuff. Really strong. It's a real heavy opening with real psychedelic, lots of psychedelic noises, lots of synthesizers and keyboards on this as well. And it got a very spacey part as well. This particular part, there's a drum guitar, like it's this kind of heavy drum roll with a guitar riff that's really dominant, and then it ends up making these weird noises at some point in the song. I like this track. It's one of my favorite tracks on the album, the Salmon song. Okay, the next song is called Adaglid. Okay, this song is, again, more spacey, more psychedelic opening. Guitar bit is really good. Yeah, there's a kind of a heavy drum guitar part here, or actually a drum keyboard part here, kind of mixed in about part way through the song. Then it has its synthesizer part with some more real heavy guitar riffing and some, I would say, I'm not really sure how you would call these things, little guitar parts and bits that are feeding in on the whole song. It's a really interesting song, lots of riffing, and there's actually vocals on this one too. There's vocals on the Solar Music as well. I think there may be some on the Salmon song, and then on this one, Adaglid. The last track I know has none. I'm not sure about the next track, which is called Pentagram. Okay, Pentagrammus Pin. Yeah, that kind of ostrich tentacle sound. Some real heavy guitars to open. Some nice kind of catchy riffs on this particular track, and the drums are catchy as well. And yeah, and the guitar solo is really strong and very psychedelic and just dominating. His guitar ability is obviously a top shelf guitar player. He definitely qualifies to be amongst the very best of guitar players out there. I don't know much about his music or about him. I do know who he is because I have this album. I actually just got this album. It's currently going to be part of my hauls at the end of the month, and I will be listening to it as well as soon as I'm able to. And I knew that I liked this stuff from watching other shows, so this will be my first foray into gong, and Steve Hillage, of course, has a lot of that sound to his music as well. So the last particular track is my favorite track on this album. It's called Afterglid. It's an instrumental, which is unusual. I don't usually pick an instrumental for my favorite, but with the psychedelic music, that's a little more common than it is with a lot of other types of music. This is a very psychedelic part at the beginning, heavy beat, some very pronounced kind of bass parts on this, bass and drum parts, and then you get the keys and the guitars and everything coming in once the bass and the drums have dominated for a bit, and then they follow that with this kind of a quiet acoustic bit which falls right somewhere almost middle of the track, and it does really add to the song. I like the heavy part at the beginning, and then this little part, then it goes back to this more heavier part. Song is very psychedelic. This whole album is very spacey and psychedelic. It's a type of album that you want to lie back on your bed or lie back on the couch and just turn it on and in the dark and just sit there and quietly listen to it and listen to all the intricacies of the guitar and all of the spaciness and the psychedelic-y of the keyboards and the little bits of drum and bass thrown in there. Vocals are not very pronounced on this album. They're okay. There's nothing wrong with the vocals on here. They're just not really that dominating. They're kind of a background thing. I think he's probably an average vocalist, nothing spectacular. Probably not really a vocalist, just a guitar player who's doing his own album, so he's going to sing, right? But overall, I thought it was a good album. Pretty solid. Lots of really interesting stuff. Brother Murphy should have actually come on and done this album, but he's busy right now. And I just thought it was just really catchy. A lot of catchy riffs, a lot of really interesting sounds I really like that in the psychedelic music. This stuff is like extreme psychedelic as opposed to maybe something like Atomic Rooster or, I'm trying to think of somebody else who's a little bit psychedelic. Well, the Doors are a little more psychedelic than that, but this is much more than even that. So yeah, if you haven't had a chance to listen to Steve Hillage's Fish Rising, yeah, give it a listen to. It's a pretty strong album. Only the 7 tracks, but really interesting. It won't bore you. Let's put it that way. And if you like psychedelic music, this is definitely something you will like. If you like that kind of spacey rock that you get sometimes with Hawkwind, you'll like that, or with Eloy, you'll like that as well. Anyways, fantastic. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I do apologize for being tired, but sometimes that's just the way it is. I can't remake every video because I'm yawning all the time. So I try not to when I'm really tired, but difficult when you're concentrating. Anyways, I hope you liked the video, so please like and subscribe. And we'll be back next Sunday with another album from Ben's Album Challenge. Take care. Bye.